So a lot of people contacted me recently and let me know that their electric bills are going through the roof. And they wanted to know, is AI and these data centers, is that affecting their electric bill? Is that part of the reason it's going up? And I can say, yes, it is. Everyone is paying more for electricity because of AI. Even if you don't use AI and you are paying for electricity, you are paying for AI to be powered. Now, I refer to these data centers as beast buildings. So once in a while, when I don't say data center, I say beast building. But these buildings are kind of like giant warehouses, and they're just packed full of GPUs. And these GPUs are running billions and billions of calculations all the time. And so when you ask ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, Perplexity a question, then these GPUs are calculating what the answer is going to be. But all of that requires power. So where are these beast buildings getting their power? Some of them are tying into the existing grid, the already strained electrical grid, and others have had to build their own power plants. Now, what is the most common power plant that is powering the beast building? If you look at it statistically, it is a natural gas turbine generator. They are using natural gas. Now, for some of you guys don't realize this, which surprises me, natural gas is a fossil fuel. But I don't have a problem with that. But what's kind of weird right now is they're putting these data centers up everywhere. And they're putting up power plants. And for every gigawatt that these data centers use, approximately 1 gigawatt of heat is generated. Now, some people just don't understand the heat thing at all. You don't understand it, so I'm going to explain it the best I can to you. When you put electricity into something, the more power it takes to run it, the more heat is generated. It's a simple fact. Here's an illustration. This is a electric hair dryer. This hair dryer takes more electricity than my television or a lot of other things because it has resistance in it. You plug this in, this heats up. Guess what? It heats up everything around it. You know, and technically even your TV does. Just about everything you plug in generates heat. But the thing is these beast buildings or these data centers, they are requiring the same amount of electricity as a small city. Each one of these buildings takes the same amount as a small city. So now what do? You've got all this electricity going into this one building. Now you're generating this massive amount of heat. It's not much different than this. Not much different. This blows the air. Some of the power plants and the data centers are blowing the air. So when it's generating all this heat, it's using all this electricity and generating this heat. They have all these GPUs now. They're packing them really close together. And the reason they get them really close together is because then data can be exchanged between them very, very fast. The further away you have two things working together, the slower it is. But if you put them right together, it's really fast. But now they're putting all these things stacked on top of each other, and there's a lot of heat being generated. So how are they dealing with it? They're mostly dealing with it with a water cooling system. Now, some of these data centers are using the public's water supply. Some people have let me know, no, they all use a closed loop system. They just send the water back out and back in. That is not true. That is not true. It's only true in a few of these. Many of them will send them out to like a holding pond, and others do have kind of like a closed loop system. But if you take the behemoth of all beast buildings, which is Colossus 2, just outside of Memphis, Tennessee, it is sitting on the border of Tennessee and Mississippi. And the people in Tennessee push back so hard on this building and this power plant that all they simply did was, okay, we'll power it in Mississippi. So the power plant's right across the border, and it is operated off of gas. But what they're trying to do with that to deal with the water is they're basically taking the sewer from the city, and they pump it over to the beast building. And then the beast building acts like a water treatment plant, cleaning the water, and then pumps it through the building to cool the chips. And so they're saying it's recycled water. So instead of cleaning it and send it back into the taps in the city, they're sending it to the beast building. Not all of it, but that's where they're getting some of it from, quite a bit of it from. So they have systems like that. And then some of the other ones that I've seen, these water-cooled pipes, they run through and they cool the GPU units. They go on outside, and there are these heat exchange building structures. And so as they send them outside, they got these big fans on the structure, and they're blowing air at the pipe, just like your car radiator, things like that. Guess where this air goes? It goes in the air all around us. So, what is amazing to me, now I'm not trying to be big environmentalist and climate change, all that stuff. I'm not jumping any of these boats, but what I was trying to say is it is amazing how there isn't any national pushback on these things from any climate groups. There's only local pushback. It's that not in my backyard. They start building something near you, and the next thing you know, the residents are worried about getting sick and all these other things that are happening. But the more I looked in on this, I'm realizing how many of the politicians, and this is probably how it is worldwide, but I'm going to talk about America. Politicians on both sides of the aisle. I don't even want to hear from you guys telling me it's one side. It is politicians on both sides of the aisle own stock in these AI companies. And if you don't think they're going to bail and dump the stock at the right moment when some of these things crash, then you don't know what's going on, because these guys know when things are going to happen. So why was that important? It's because the politicians are all helping fast track everything. And, you've got the right is really pushing for more energy. Let's just get it out of the ground, tons of it. And the left has traditionally been more climate change. But it's all silent. This stuff is going forward at a record pace, and nobody is saying much about it. The politicians aren't speaking up. The climate, the nationwide or global climate activists are silent. And you know why that bothers me? Not because, I'm not in their camp. But what bothers me about it is how much screaming they've done in the past about other things. And now all of a sudden they're quiet. You know what that tells me? That tells me they can be bought. They don't believe in what they're saying. Come on, guys. They do not believe in climate change. You don't believe in it if you look the other way. You let the big AI companies pay you off with a nice donation, and then you look the other way. Well, they're building giant heaters and pumping more fossil fuels into this than we've ever seen before. You know, this is all going forward. And we can't stop progress, it seems, but it is weird how many people are getting paid to either profit off this or shut up. And it really helps reveal their true colors. There's no doubt about it. And I've had some people, you know, on the climate change crowd complain to me or attack me or whatever. And I don't care, guys. You're a bunch of hypocrites. Because when some of these guys comment to me, it's more of an attack on me. They're like, oh, you don't believe in climate change? It's because on the other video I said it's been going on since the beginning of the earth. You know, I study geology, I study paleontology, things like that. I love earth science. Climate change has been going on a long time, but they say, well, it's accelerating because of man. Well, where the heck are you guys right now? You guys are fraudulent. You know what? You attack me, you're still fraudulent. We don't hear you ever. We don't hear you ever. So that means that almost every single thing you've yelled at us about wasn't true. Think about that, guys. If you truly believe in something and you're convicted about it, you would apply it everywhere. You don't just apply it to America. You don't just apply it to certain industries. Come on. We're creating giant resistive heaters. And nobody's saying anything. So if the climate activists were to say something and to push back, it would temper it down a little bit, but it's not going to stop the progress. I understand that. I'm not trying to stop the progress. I'm trying to say when we go running full board at something without thinking one bit, you know, a lot of average people, they try to stay out of this, but there's a lot of people really concerned, like, what the heck is happening to the world? But you've got you've got to push and pull in the world. You know, you usually have one side for something and one side against something. And generally the right answer is somewhere in the middle. But what happens if this side is completely absent and it's just push? And that's all it is. Come on, guys, you are hypocrites. You are hypocrites. I don't hear you. I don't hear you. You want to attack me? That does nothing for the climate. Zero. Now, on the other hand, I am very pro energy. I don't like polluting the earth. I don't like overusing things, but I really appreciate electricity. I'm like a lot of people. And if you look around the world, if you have countries that have a lot of electricity, they're very, I guess, comfortable or advanced. And then you take away the electricity and you guys understand. People, I don't even know how to explain it. Just look around. Find the countries that don't have any electricity. So I am for electricity. I'm for a lot of things. But what I do totally believe right now is that OpenAI, the company OpenAI, which has ChatGPT, is a fraud. I'm going to do some more videos on that, but they're going to collapse. That's going to be the one that collapses. I've got another one in mind that's going to collapse. But the reason ChatGPT is going to collapse is because they're not only losing billions of dollars, now they're bringing in billions of dollars, but the amount that they're bringing in versus the amount they're losing is widening and widening. And so in order to please the shareholders, NVIDIA, they're buying NVIDIA chips, and then NVIDIA's turn around and investing in OpenAI. And they were doing this kind of thing where money goes this way and money goes that way, even though there's no money being made, it's being lost. The shareholders see that, hey, money's coming in. No, they're not making a profit. And then to make matters worse, last week, NVIDIA's main rival, AMD, is involved now. What in the heck is going on here? ChatGPT has made a deal with AMD, the competitor of NVIDIA, to get more chips, and in return, AMD gets part of OpenAI. They get part of it. What an incestuous relationship that is. So I'm going to cut to the chase. I'll tell you what's going to happen with OpenAI. OpenAI is going down. They're going to crash. It's going to be like Enron. And guess what? These stupid congressmen, senators, who they're holding stock right now in these companies, when that stuff goes down, then they'll cry for the guilty. They don't care now. They're making money. They'll sell at the right time and leave everybody else holding the bag. But when ChatGPT, OpenAI, when it crashes, this is my prediction. This is just Sean predicting. I predict that there will be 2 companies left standing. Even though there's more than that, there's only going to be 2 left standing. Elon Musk's x.ai and Google's Gemini. That's it. And so when those 2 giant companies are left standing, and Google being the more giant company than the other, then they're going to come in and pick up what's left of OpenAI and ChatGPT, and they're going to buy it pennies on the dollar. It's what happens. The ones that are left standing get to go buy the one they defeated. And it's really cheap. So when OpenAI falls, it's going to take a few other companies with. And I predict that the makers of Claude will also go down. And I have my reasons for that. And that's basically because it seems like they were competing in the development space pretty well, and they were making a lot of good headway on AI agents. And I think some of the bigger companies are going to eat their lunch pretty soon. And the problem you have is you got all these people investing in NVIDIA and AMD. Now, OpenAI with ChatGPT, that's not on the publicly traded right now. Right now, the shares are being given like over the counter in deals. So the average person isn't going to be hurt by necessarily directly by OpenAI coming down, but what it'll do is it'll pull NVIDIA down and it'll pull AMD down. And the general public's going to be left holding the bag. And you guys just watch. You watch. These congressmen and senators, they're going to walk away, just right at the right time. I mean, the majority of these people we elect, no matter how little money they have, they usually come out and they're millionaires. Let's be real. And we're not talking about one side or the other. We're talking about all of them. Because absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. These guys, that's just their nature. I think some of them start out honest, but they get there day one and they find out right away they better fit in. And so they get enriched. And the general public, they get left holding the bag when there's a collapse. And I hate to see it happen to people. I know there's a lot of hype right now, and if you think about it, value, the shares, the stock price of Nvidia and things like that. What is value or price? It's really in the eye of the beholder. You know, if you went to a planet out in space and you looked down and there was just a bunch of gold laying everywhere and you just started picking it up like crazy and they're just looking at you like, there's gold everywhere here. It's worthless. You know, you got to understand that Nvidia is valuable right now because people think it's very valuable. And AMD is valuable because people think it's valuable. Now, they are valuable, but I think the price is way off. I think it's really inflated because they've been playing this weird, behind-the-scenes, corrupt, incestuous game with OpenAI. And I think people are going to end up paying the price for this. And the reason I brought up the climate change activists is because they have always been loud. And they're not right now. And when they're loud, usually their senators and their congressmen are also loud. But you notice that entire group is silent. And so as we go running towards something really fast, there are going to be consequences to this. There's no doubt. And I'm going to put out some heat. We're going to heat the earth. And so anybody complains about climate change and things heating up, ignore them. You got to ignore them because they're not speaking up when it counts. They only speak up to suit their agenda, which makes them fake. And on the other hand, I don't like how we're rushing at this really fast. Also, we can have ChatGPT write a bunch of papers for us from some stolen human works, or create Bigfoot videos, or all the stuff it's doing. I mean, right now, I am not seeing how the amount of electricity and the amount of energy and the amount of money put into this is coming back. I see some benefits to this. I do use these things. But a lot of it's kind of a farce. And you know what? They're going to use this to control people. And that might be why these people in power are quiet right now. So later you can be controlled. So anyway, that was my rant for today. By the way, my name is Sean. I have a background in tech. And this channel, we talk about AI and its effects on humanity. And I have no fear. And so, appreciate you listening up to now. And check out some of my other videos. Catch you later, guys. Bye.